Ouch! It hurts! My head hurts so much. The dream, filled with strange and murmuring whispers, quickly falls apart. In his deep sleep, Zhou Mingrui can only feel an unusually throbbing pain in his head, as if someone had hit him hard with a stick. No, it feels more like a sharp object piercing his temples and stirring inside. Ugh! In a daze, Zhou Mingrui tries to turn over, cover his head, sit up, but he can't move his limbs at all. It seems like he has lost control of his body. It looks like I haven't really woken up yet, still in the dream. Maybe later, I'll think I'm already awake, but actually still sleeping. Zhou Mingrui, who is not unfamiliar with similar experiences, tries hard to focus his mind and break free from the darkness and hallucinations. However, in this half-asleep state, his will always seems elusive, difficult to control, difficult to gather. No matter how hard he tries, his thoughts can't help but wander, and distractions arise. Why would I suddenly have a headache in the middle of the night? And it hurts so much. Could it be a cerebral hemorrhage or something? Oh my god, am I going to die young like this? Wake up quickly! Wake up quickly! Huh, it seems like the pain isn't as intense as before. But it still feels like there's a blunt knife slowly cutting through my mind. It looks like I can't continue sleeping. How am I going to work tomorrow? Why am I even thinking about work? With a real and unbearable headache, of course, I should take a sick leave. No need to worry about the manager's nagging. Just thinking about it, it doesn't seem so bad after all, enjoying a half day of leisure. The successive waves of throbbing pain accumulate, giving Zhou Mingrui the strength to gather himself. Finally, with a determined effort, he straightens his back, opens his eyes, and completely breaks free from the state of half sleep and half awake. The vision was initially blurry, then tinged with a faint crimson hue. As Zhou Mingrui's gaze focused, he saw a wooden desk in front of him, with an open notebook placed right in the center. The paper was rough and yellowed, and an unusual script, written with deep black ink, caught his eye. On the left side of the notebook, neatly stacked, were around 7 or 8 books. The wall to the right of them was adorned with a grayish-white pipe and a wall lamp connected to the pipes. The lamp had a distinct Western classical flavor, about half the size of an adult's head. It had a transparent glass inner layer, surrounded by a black metal grill. Just below the extinguished wall lamp, a black ink bottle emitted a faint red glow, with a blurry angel pattern formed by the raised surface. In front of the ink bottle, to the right of the notebook, rested a dark-colored pen with a rounded belly. The pen tip shimmered with a faint light, while the pen cap lay beside a brass-toned revolver. Pistols? Revolvers? Zhou Mingrui was completely stunned, as the things in front of him were so unfamiliar and bore no resemblance to his own room. In his astonishment and confusion, he noticed that the desk, notebook, ink bottle, and revolver were all covered in a layer of crimson gauze, which was the radiance shining in from outside the window. Subconsciously, he lifted his head, and his gaze gradually shifted upward. In the midst of the void, atop the black velvet curtain, a crimson full moon hung high, radiating serenely. This, Zhou Mingrui exclaimed, filled with inexplicable fear. He abruptly stood up, but before his legs could fully straighten, a sudden headache struck him. This caused him to briefly lose his strength, and his center of gravity involuntarily shifted downwards. His buttocks forcefully collided with the seat made of hard wood. Crack! The pain did not have any lasting impact, as Zhou Mingrui pressed his hand against the table and stood up again. He turned his body in a flustered manner, surveying the environment he was in. It is a small room with a brown door on each side. Adjacent to the opposite wall is a wooden bunk bed. Between the bed and the left door, there is a cabinet with double doors on top and 5 drawers below. At the edge of the cabinet, at a height of about a person, there is a gray-white pipe embedded in the wall. However, it is connected to a strange mechanical device, with gears and bearings partially exposed in some places. Near the desk, in the corner of the right wall, there are items similar to coal stoves, as well as pots and pans for the kitchen. Beyond the right door, there is a dressing mirror with 2 cracks, with a simple and plain pattern on its wooden base. With a quick glance, Zhou Mingrui vaguely saw himself in the mirror, the present self, black hair, brown eyes, a linen shirt, slender physique, ordinary features, and relatively defined facial contours. This, Zhou Mingrui gasped, a wave of helplessness and confusion filling his mind. The revolver, the European-style decor, and the crimson moon that differed from the Earth, all indicated something extraordinary was happening. Could it be that I've traveled through time? Zhou Mingrui's mouth slowly opened. Growing up reading online novels, he often fantasized about such scenarios, but when faced with it in reality, he found it difficult to accept. Perhaps this is what they call loving dragons in theory but fearing them in practice? After a few tens of seconds, Zhou Mingrui sarcastically muttered to himself. If it weren't for the lingering pain in his head, which kept his thoughts tense and clear, he would have doubted if he was dreaming. Calm down, calm down, calm down. Zhou Mingrui took a few deep breaths, trying to prevent himself from panicking. Just then, as he harmonized his body and mind, fragmented memories abruptly surfaced and slowly unfolded in his mind. Klein Moretti, a resident of Tingzhen City in Ahova County, Kingdom of Rune on the northern continent, recently graduated student of history from Hoi University. His father, a senior sergeant in the Royal Army, sacrificed his life in a colonial conflict in the southern continent, which provided Klein with a compensation fund that allowed him to enter a private grammar school, laying the foundation for his admission to university. His mother was a follower of the goddess of night and passed away the year Klein passed the entrance exam for Hoy University. He also has an older brother and a younger sister, living together in a two-bedroom apartment. The family is not affluent, and one could even say things are difficult, relying on his brother's job as a clerk in an import-export company. As a graduate of the history department, Klein has mastered the ancient Fursak language, which is considered the source of writing in various countries on the northern continent, as well as the Hermes script frequently found in ancient tombs, associated with rituals and prayers. Hermes script? Zhou Mingrui's heart skipped a beat as he reached out to press his throbbing temple, his gaze shifting towards the open notebook on the desk. The line of text on the yellowed pages went from being strange to becoming unfamiliar, then familiar, and finally interpretable. It was written in Hermes script. The ink, dark as the deepest abyss, proclaimed, "Everyone will die, including me." Hiss! Zhou Mingrui was inexplicably terrified, instinctively recoiling and trying to create distance between himself and the notebook and the line of text. He felt weak, almost stumbling, hastily reaching out to grab the edge of the desk. The air around him seemed to grow restless, and faint whispers echoed in his ears, reminiscent of the feeling of listening to horror stories as a child. Shaking his head, he realized it was all just an illusion. Zhou Mingrui regained his composure, shifting his gaze away from the notebook and took deep breaths to calm himself. At that moment, his gaze fell upon the glimmering brass revolver, and a question arose in his mind. Given Klein's background, how could he afford or have access to a handgun? Zhou Mingrui furrowed his brows. Lost in thought, he suddenly noticed a half-read handprint at the edge of the desk, its color deeper than moonlight and thicker than gossamer. It was a bloody handprint. Blood handprint? Zhou Mingrui instinctively opened his right hand, which he had used to grip the edge of the desk. He looked down and saw his palm and fingers covered in bloodstains. At the same time, the throbbing pain in his head persisted, albeit slightly weakened, as if it were never ending. Could I have hit my head? Zhou Mingrui speculated as he turned his body and walked towards the cracked full-length mirror. After a few steps, the image of a figure with average height, black hair, and brown eyes, exuding a distinct scholarly aura, came into clear view. Is this me now, Klein Moretti? Zhou Mingrui wondered aloud. Zhou Mingrui paused for a moment, unable to see clearly due to the insufficient light in the middle of the night. He continued forward until he was just one step away from colliding with the mirror. Under the soft, crimson moonlight, he turned his head to the side to examine his temple. The clear reflection in the mirror revealed a grotesque wound, with scorched edges and bloodstains surrounding it. Inside, there was a slow, writhing movement of grayish-white brain matter.